For nearly a decade, a government-funded laboratory breakthrough sat buried in academic journals while your air conditioning bill kept climbing. 5 research teams, 1 federal grant. A material proven to drop roof temperatures 15 degrees below the air around it. And not one company in the multi-billion-dollar home construction industry has put it on a single new roof. This isn't a failed experiment. This is what happens when a solution doesn't fit the system built to sell you something every year instead. So, what's going on here? How does this paint actually work? Why did it take so long to invent something this simple? And why hasn't it become the standard in a country where households are projected to spend nearly $792 this summer alone just to stay cool? Let's find out. To understand the idea of paint that fights heat, we have to go back thousands of years, not to one place, but to almost every hot climate on Earth that had access to limestone. In the islands of the Aegean Sea in Greece, people like the residents of Santorini and Mykonos faced a simple problem. The only building material available to them was dark volcanic stone, and that stone absorbed sunlight and turned their homes into ovens. So they developed a simple solution. They coated their walls in a mixture of slaked lime, water, and salt, known as whitewash. This mixture didn't just reflect heat, it was also a powerful natural disinfectant that had been used for thousands of years. When a cholera epidemic swept through Greece in 1938, the ruling government issued a decree forcing every island to whitewash its buildings for public health reasons. And that's how the blinding white landscape the world associates with Santorini today was born. But the Greeks were far from alone. In Rajasthan, India, entire cities were coated in lime plaster for the same reason, to reflect brutal desert sun away from densely packed stone buildings. Along the American South and the Caribbean, plantation-era and colonial builders used lime whitewash on wooden and brick structures for the exact same reflective effect, centuries before anyone understood the physics behind why it worked. Across every one of these cultures, the same intuition kept appearing independently. White reflects sunlight, and reflection means coolness. Decades later, the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory in California would confirm scientifically what all of these cultures already knew instinctively: that whitewashing entire city rooftops could measurably lower urban temperatures and delay some effects of climate change. But here's the problem nobody solved for thousands of years. Traditional whitewash, for all its effectiveness, had a hard physical ceiling it could never cross. No matter how white it was, it could never make a surface colder than the surrounding air. To do that, you would need to understand something about physics that wouldn't be fully cracked until the 21st century. The modern chapter of this story doesn't start with one genius inventor. It starts with a race, and it begins in 2014 when Shanhui Fan, an electrical engineer at Stanford University, published a paper in the journal Nature. Fan's team built a surface out of alternating microscopic layers of silicon dioxide and hafnium dioxide, and they proved something remarkable. That surface stayed roughly 9 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the surrounding air, even sitting directly in the sun. It was proof of concept, but it was also fragile, expensive, and nearly impossible to manufacture at any meaningful scale. The following year, in 2015, the United States Department of Energy took notice and awarded a $3 million grant through its ARPA-E program to a team at the University of Colorado Boulder. Led by professors Xiaobo Yin, pronounced Xiaobo Yin, and Rongwei Yang, pronounced Rongwei Yang, working alongside Gang Tan at the University of Wyoming. Their challenge was to take Fan's fragile laboratory proof and turn it into something you could actually manufacture by the mile. By 2017, they had done it. Publishing in the journal Science, their team announced a metamaterial made from microscopic glass spheres embedded in a polymer film, backed with a thin layer of silver. Under direct sunlight at noon, their material achieved a cooling power of 93 watts per square meter, enough, they said, to comfortably cool a single-family home using only 10 to 20 square meters of material on the rooftop, roughly the size of a small bedroom. The breakthrough insight behind this material solved a problem that had quietly defeated every reflective surface before it. Ordinary white or silver paint has what researchers call a mirror problem. It reflects incoming sunlight away, which sounds great, but that same mirror-like property also reflects outgoing thermal radiation right back down into the surface instead of letting it escape. In other words, a plain white roof is good at keeping heat out, but bad at letting the heat it does absorb escape again. The Colorado Boulder team's material solved both problems simultaneously, reflecting sunlight while also actively emitting trapped heat as infrared radiation directly into the 8 to 13 micrometer atmospheric window, the same invisible channel to space we talked about a moment ago. The team was confident enough in their discovery to spin off a startup called Radicool to try to commercialize it. But a thin engineered film is not the same thing as a paint you can pick up at a hardware store, and that gap became the next chapter of the race. In 2018, researchers at Columbia University and Argonne National Laboratory took a different approach entirely, developing a sprayable polymer coating, essentially proving that this effect didn't require exotic glass microspheres or precision manufacturing. It could potentially be sprayed on like ordinary paint. Then in 2020, a team publishing in the journal Joule, led by researcher Geotirmoy Mandel, made the case that paint specifically, not film, not spray coating, but ordinary rollable paint, was the most scalable and commercially viable path forward for getting this technology onto real buildings. And finally, in 2021, Professor Zhulin Ruan, pronounced Shulin Ruan, and his team at Purdue University pushed the reflectivity number to its current world record. 98.1% of incoming sunlight bounced away, using a formulation built around barium-sulfate particles. It had taken 7 years, 5 separate research teams, 3 universities, 1 national laboratory, and a multi-million-dollar federal grant to go from a fragile lab proof of concept to a paint formula that companies could actually begin manufacturing. By 2026, companies with names like CryoPaint and I began commercializing versions of this science for real buildings. This year, in Boulder County, Colorado, not far from where much of this research began, local authorities partnered with the nonprofit RMI to run a real-world pilot, coating a 34-unit affordable housing complex with this paint to monitor its performance through a record-hot summer at a total material cost of just $1,500 for 2 buckets. So how does this actually work, in plain terms? Traditional whitewash on the islands of the Aegean operates on a single principle: reflection. A white surface bounces light away instead of absorbing it, the same reason you'd rather wear a white shirt than a black one on a hot day. But that principle alone has a hard ceiling, and it's the exact ceiling that trapped Shanhui Fan's early experiments and every whitewashed wall before him. Even if a surface reflects 95% of sunlight, the remaining 5% is still enough to heat it above ambient air temperature. And worse, as we just covered, a purely reflective surface tends to trap outgoing heat rather than releasing it. Modern radiative cooling paint solves this by adding a second physical principle that works alongside reflection. Earth's atmosphere has a narrow window of wavelengths, between 8 and 13 micrometers, that lets heat escape directly into outer space without being absorbed and re-radiated back down by the atmosphere. It's essentially a permanent, invisible skylight for heat, open 24 hours a day, that most materials simply don't know how to use. The new paint is chemically engineered, using microscopic nanoparticles of compounds like barium-sulfate or calcium carbonate to emit heat specifically within that spectral window. The result: the surface isn't just reflecting sunlight, it's actively shedding its own internal heat through a direct channel to the cold of space itself. This is the critical difference that lets the paint drop below the temperature of the air around it, something physically impossible for any traditional white paint, no matter how pure, and something that defeated researchers for the better part of a decade before Colorado Boulder's team cracked it in 2017. The numbers here are documented across nearly 10 years of peer-reviewed research, not marketing copy. Fan's original 2014 Stanford surface achieved roughly 9 degrees Fahrenheit of sub-ambient cooling in laboratory conditions. The Colorado Boulder team's 2017 metamaterial demonstrated a cooling power of 93 watts per square meter under direct noon sunlight, enough, according to the research team, to cool a frying pan-sized amount of water by roughly 15 degrees Fahrenheit below ambient temperature, even while sitting in full sun. Commercial cryopaint, built on this decade of research, now reflects more than 96% of sunlight and keeps surfaces up to 15 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than ambient air in field conditions. In a separate field study on a calcium carbonate-based paint, researchers recorded 88 to 92% reflectivity even when the surface was wet, with up to 95% thermal emittance. More important than any single lab number, in a direct side-by-side comparison of multiple test houses, the home coated in this paint used 30 to 40% less electricity to run its air conditioning than the uncoated houses next to it. And since roughly 60% of building energy worldwide goes toward cooling, that's not a marginal footnote, it cuts straight to the core of the energy crisis inside modern homes. But before you rush to coat your entire roof, there are real caveats worth knowing. And this is where a lot of the enthusiasm online quietly leaves out the fine print. First, this paint still faces genuine questions about long-term durability. We don't yet know how it performs after 5 or 10 years of weather exposure, dirt accumulation, and ultraviolet degradation. Second, its performance drops in cloudy or high humidity climates, because the atmospheric window it depends on for radiative emission is partially blocked by clouds and moisture, meaning a home in Seattle will see very different results than a home in Phoenix. Third, and this one surprises people, the same property that makes this paint so effective in summer works against you in winter. A roof engineered to constantly shed heat into space doesn't stop doing that just because the season changed, which means in a cold climate, a radiative cooling roof can actually increase your heating costs if it isn't paired with a seasonal strategy, like a switchable coating or simply reserving it for garages, sheds, and other unconditioned structures. Fourth, it currently costs more than conventional paint, and there are still no standardized testing protocols or building codes that guarantee its performance the way there are for, say, a rated window or a certified furnace. And fifth, this matters. It only works on surfaces that have a clear, unobstructed view of the sky, a rooftop, not a shaded wall, and not a roof covered by overhanging trees. Right now, this paint is available in essentially one color, white, because any added pigment reduces its reflective efficiency. This isn't a universal miracle fix. It's a powerful tool with a narrow, specific, and climate-dependent application. If the science has been proven since 2017, and companies have been racing to commercialize it since 2020, why isn't every city mandating it on every new roof today? The answer, as usual on this channel, is bureaucratic and economic more than technical. There are still no national building codes that formally recognize this category of paint or grant it a certified rating that contractors and inspectors can rely on, putting it in the exact same regulatory void we've seen with the solar chimney and the beehive terracotta cooler. A solution that genuinely works but doesn't fit the system modern construction was built around. Even the startups born from this research have struggled to scale. Radicool, spun out of the original Colorado Boulder breakthrough, and Sky Cool Systems, founded by Stanford's Shanhui Fan, have spent years working primarily with industrial and commercial clients rather than reaching ordinary homeowners, largely because there's no established residential supply chain, no trained installer network, and no simple path to a mortgage lender or an insurance appraiser recognizing the value of what's on your roof. And the economics matter even more than the paperwork. A standard air conditioning unit needs filters replaced, refrigerant recharged, an annual $200 service call, and full replacement every 10 to 15 years. A bucket of paint, applied once, that lasts for years, generates zero recurring revenue for anyone in the supply chain, not the manufacturer, not the contractor, not the utility company. This isn't some backroom conspiracy. It's simply a system that was never designed to reward a solution that doesn't need repeat service, and an entire decade of publicly funded, peer-reviewed university research has run headfirst into that wall. If you want to try this technology yourself, there are two realistic paths today. The first, for existing homes, commercial radiative cooling paints are now available for DIY application on flat or gently sloped surfaces, applying directly to most clean, dry substrates, painted metal, aluminum, asphalt, concrete, wood, without a special primer in most cases, using a standard brush or sprayer. A small surface, like a garage or outbuilding roof, the safest place to experiment given the winter heat loss caveat we just covered, can cost just a few $100s in materials. Before you apply anything, check your climate zone. This technology delivers its strongest returns in consistently hot, sunny regions like the American Southwest, and its weakest, sometimes even counterproductive, returns in cold, cloudy northern climates. The second path, and the more realistic one for most homeowners in a mixed climate right now, look for local pilot programs similar to Boulder's or municipal cool roof initiatives. Several major cities have run versions of these programs in recent years, often partially funded by environmental nonprofits or municipalities looking to document real-world performance before rolling the technology out more broadly. These programs are frequently the fastest way to get professional-grade material applied to your home at a reduced cost in exchange for allowing researchers to monitor the results. This paint takes an idea thousands of years old, the whitewashed walls of the Aegean Islands, of Rajasthan, of the American South, and adds a physical principle those builders never had access to, a direct channel to the cold of outer space itself, one that took Stanford, the University of Colorado Boulder, the University of Wyoming, Columbia University, Argonne National Laboratory, and Purdue University the better part of a decade working in sequence to fully unlock. A lot of what this channel covers wasn't abandoned because it failed, but because the system that builds our homes today was never designed to reward simple solutions that don't come with a monthly bill. If this kind of knowledge matters to you, subscribing and sharing is the simplest way to make sure it keeps reaching the people who need it. But here's the part almost nobody covering this story mentions. Remember that winter problem we talked about, the one where a radiative cooling roof can actually work against you once the temperature drops? Researchers already have an answer, and it's arguably more interesting than the paint itself. In 2018, a team at the University of Colorado Boulder unveiled something they called a switchable radiative cooling device. Instead of a fixed layer that sheds heat into space around the clock, this material can physically flip itself on and off, staying in cooling mode during a hot afternoon, then switching into a heat-retaining mode once the sun goes down or the season turns cold. Early versions used a thin layer that changes its infrared properties in response to temperature or a small applied voltage, essentially giving a roof a seasonal thermostat, with no moving parts and no electricity draw in most configurations. It's still mostly confined to research labs and a handful of pilot coatings, nowhere near a bucket you can buy at a hardware store, but it directly answers the single biggest objection critics raise against this entire technology. And the applications researchers are chasing now go well beyond rooftops. The same core physics, that 8 to 13 micrometer window straight up into space, is being tested in fabrics for outdoor workwear, in coatings for parked vehicles and shipping containers, and even in passive systems designed to condense drinking water out of desert air by cooling a surface below the dew point without any power source at all. None of these are sitting on a shelf at your local hardware store today. Most are still university prototypes, small pilot batches, or papers waiting on funding. But the underlying idea that you can build a one-way exit for heat using nothing but the physical structure of a material has moved from a strange laboratory curiosity in 2014 to a genuine platform technology that multiple industries are now trying to build on. Which brings us back to where we started. A country spending nearly $800 a household just to stay cool every summer already has, sitting in a handful of research papers and a couple of small startups, a tool that could meaningfully cut into that number, today, not in some hypothetical future. Now here's a question for you. What other forgotten technology do you think deserves this same kind of investigation? Maybe it's something your grandparents used, a trick your parents swore by that nobody bothers with anymore, or a solution you've seen in another country that never made it here. It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the best ideas were sitting in plain sight the whole time, waiting for someone to ask why we stopped using them. Think about the tools your own family used before air conditioning was everywhere, the small habits that got lost once electricity made everything effortless. Somewhere in that memory might be the next thing worth investigating. Tell us in the comments below. This channel exists because of ideas like yours, and the next video on this channel might genuinely start with your comment.